right, folks, welcome back to Dragon Works once again. You are officially here with the Dragon. A disclaimer right off the bat: if you don't like to hear talking, don't want to hear a story, then go ahead and fast forward to the action or what have you. But the story is very important. There's going to be a bunch of pictures I'm going to pop up and a lot of information that you will miss that you might not understand if you just skip to the end. But I totally understand. I get it. This thing starts all the way back in June of 2020 when I purchased a Suzuki GS550. And today, here in April of 2023, it's going to be fired up for the very first time ever. So after the rebuild. So in June of 2020, I bought a bike with the intention of doing a custom build. And shortly after, I lost interest. I was way too busy. I was just really starting out here at this shop, and I was getting really busy, and I had a lot of work booked up, and I just wasn't going to be able to get to it. So a customer of mine bought it from me with the intention that he was going to build it. And so he bought it from me in June, and he approached me in October the same year, 2020, and asked if I would freshen the motor up for him and rebuild it, which I did, and he got it back, and I never heard anything from him. Now, don't fear, guys. I'm going to be doing a walk around here in a second. I just got a bunch of information to spit out real quick, and then we'll get into the details. So once again, he bought it in June. October, he approached me and asked if I would rebuild the motor, freshen it up. He got it back. I didn't hear anything from him until May of 2021 when he contacted me and said, hey, I'm not getting anywhere with this thing. I haven't done nothing. It's just sitting here. He did strip it down, and he had the frame rhino lined like you see there. And then basically he stared at all the parts and wondered what to do. Got a hold of me, and I said, sure, why not? I'm glutton for punishment. I might as well take the project on. So I got it in May, and I got started on it, doing some fabrication, rebuilt the carbs. I detabbed a lot of stuff on the frame. I cut the tail section off, welded in that loop with the lights in it. Did a bunch of stuff like that. By October, I was ready. I also, while I was doing the fabrication, the front fender that you see on the bike is actually the original fender that I cut down and fabricated it to fit. And then I painted the fender and the tank and everything to match, matching green stripe on the wheels, things like that. So that was October of 2021, or October of 21 that I started painting on the sheet metal. Then in December, I decided that there still wasn't quite enough color on the bike. So I went ahead and I did the carbs. I custom painted the carbs, took them all back apart. So the carbs were rebuilt actually in August of 21. That's going to be important here in a minute. And then I started painting them in December of 21 and to give it a little bit more color in there. All right, now, like I said, this is a big moment for me because let me get you out of the tripod here. This project has been going on forever. It's been my fault one time, the customer's fault another time. We both just been pecking at it here and there. Now the color always looks funny in the camera. This is kind of looking like a bluish color. I don't know why it does that. It's actually a willow green. It's a vintage willow green with a vintage ivory. Here it looks white and blue. And right now it's dirty. We're going to talk about that too. Yeah, the color looks so funny through the camera. I don't know why. You're going to have to see it. Some of you have already seen this in person. This bike's been, like I say, it's been since 2021 since I painted it. It's sitting here. It's got dust all over it. And we're starting to revitalize this project, revive it, whatever you want to say. And today I'm going to fire this thing up for the first time since I rebuilt that motor all the way back in 2020. And you're going to witness that. But so we got a long ways to go. I basically got a rolling chassis with an engine that will run. and I've got a lot going on here. So what I'm about to show you, now I've already fired this thing up, and what you're going to see is that part of it, and then I came back and did this introduction or what have you. So right now, let me put you back in the tripod, and I'm going to strip some stuff off so you can actually see what we're working with here. Bear with me. You can see how I got it set up, because this is another thing that just blows people's minds sometimes. All right, that's the best I can do right there with the camera. But I've got this thing rigged up so I can start it, because it's been driving me crazy to start this bike, but it's been hold up after hold up. Bear with me. Okay, so let me explain what I'm doing here. Because most people, when they see me start bikes and they're all stripped down like this, they're like, how did you make it run without all this stuff on it? That's knowledge, folks. And so we wanted this thing to look cool and vintage. The 1980 was all electric and no kickstart. So we got a motor out of a 1978 Suzuki GS550 so we could get the kickstart, and they're just better. Works off of points, so you can have less stuff on the bike. You don't need the ignition control, exciter, all that stuff that goes bad that you can never find. You don't need that. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I'm going to explain how I make these things run here real quick. So in a points ignition, the power is always on to the coil in the points. And when the gap opens up here like that, that's when it breaks the circuit and it discharges back into the coils down, and it's seeking ground here at your spark plugs. And that's when you get that spark that's built up in those coils. So anytime that breaks, that's when it sparks. That's these wires right here. So they're telling the coil, it feeds back, boom, okay? But in order to do that, you got to have some power to the coil. So here's my power going down, and all I'm going to do with this power is I'm going to clip it straight on to this battery right here. Okay, you can see it sparking there. I was just making spark in the cylinders. And I don't have this thing wired up yet. I got it temporarily. I'm working on it because we keep changing our minds what we're doing, as most projects go. And I'll explain everything in a little while. Don't get scared of the wires. So all I did here was I got a little jumper putting power over to my switch. Because once again, like I did, you remember the green Sportster I did a little bit of videos on? Basically, we want as little controls and wiring on the bike as possible. The blinkers are going to be in the headlight. And back here, all the blinkers and tail lights are right here inside this loop. So there's no blinkers, there's no lights hanging off of it. It's going to look stripped down. Reason I'm telling you that, we didn't want any controls up on the bar. Well, we're going to have some, but as little as possible. You'll see. So I did the same thing I did with the Sportster, is I put in me a key ignition here. So there's your accessory, and then you turn it just like a car, which you'll see here in a second, and that's how you start it. So that's why I was telling you, I just got some temporary stuff here to start this thing, just to make sure it's running. Okay, so the other couple weeks ago, I told him, hey, I need to get that exhaust from you so we can put that on, you know, because I'm getting close to where I want to start this thing. He don't have it anymore. He don't know what happened to it or whatever. So I started looking for it, and even old rusted up exhaust is like $400. So he's either going to have to find that exhaust or we're going to have to do something. Now, back when we started this project years ago, there was a whole bunch of the 4-to-1s. That's what we want. They were everywhere and they were cheap. Now you can't find them. Everybody started doing this. You can't find them, or they're like really expensive, starting at like $500 and up. The guy's on a budget. That's one of the reasons why this bike has been taking so long. Because, you know, it costs a lot to build a custom motorcycle. So anyway, we're going to be running this without the exhaust. And don't you get scared about that. I'm the engine builder. I know what happens. People believe all kinds of stuff about doing that. There's not going to be any harm done to this bike today. I take full responsibility. I'm the engine builder. I know I stand behind my stuff. So I'm not worried. Don't get scared. I can't wait to hear comments and the naysayers and all that kind of stuff. But don't worry. I just got the carb sitting on here. I don't even have the clamps on the boots. Okay. I don't have exhaust. I don't have a lot of things, but I need this. I've been oiling this engine down for years. I'll fog it and then I'll turn it over, fog it, turn it over. I had it wrapped in plastic. I've been preserving this thing forever for the day to start it, but everything kept getting in the way or, whatever. So many different things. So you're going to hear this thing fire up for the first time ever. Well, you're going to hear it for the first time ever, but it's going to start for the first time since the engine build. And what did I say that was? Let me look on my notes here because now I almost forget. Engine build was October of 2020. So anyway, sorry about rambling on. What I'm trying to tell you is I just basically got this thing temporarily wired up just in order to fire it up. And there's just a whole bunch of stuff that's been done that I never did videos on or what have you. All this painting I did myself. That tank and the fenders, I taped it off and did that myself. Like I said, basically he brought me the frame already done and I had to kind of match the swing arm and the forks. It wasn't exact, but it worked out pretty good. Budget was in mind, so we did this cheap little budget tray here. I still have to adjust the shocks. That's got to come up a good bit. So don't worry about that height there. That's all the way down. So it's going to come up a good bit there, level it out, bunch of other stuff. There's going to be much, much more on this later. But just since I'm reviving the video, I needed to kind of go back over what's going on. And you guys, like I say, you're going to witness the first start. That was cool, wasn't it? Well, it actually hurts me to see it. It's not the proper way to do things. And like I say, I would tell people not to do it, but I know that everything's okay. It looks way worse than it really is. It does hurt me to see things run like that without the exhaust and what have you. But this thing actually ran amazing, given the circumstance that it was built 2 years ago and never started. And I've been, for 2 years, I've been putting oil and WD-40 down in the cylinders and turning the engine over, trying to keep it fresh. So it's been sitting for years. The carbs are just stuck on there. I don't even have them clamped on. There's no exhaust. It don't have the proper wiring. Actually, these are old spark plugs because I went to pick up some new ones this morning and they don't have them. They have to order them. So I actually took some old ones and cleaned them off. So given all that, and what you saw coming out of there was years of oil, WD-40, mixed with fuel, everything. That's why it was blowing all that black smoke, dust, cobwebs. Who the hell knows what else? I did have the engine, wrapped in plastic. I had the carburetors all wrapped off, and I had plastic stuck in there. So I was trying to keep it protected the best I could. We got a long ways to go, folks, but I needed that inspiration. Also, I needed to run it, like I say, because it's just been sitting. Now I got all that oil circulated again. Cylinders are good. The cams got oil, all that stuff. I feel so much better. I feel inspired, and now I can get on this thing. Don't worry, this color doesn't really look like that. I probably mentioned it. I don't know why my camera does it. It makes it look like a bluish, but it's actually a vintage willow green. I might have mentioned that already. And this is actually ivory. It looks white in the light. There will be some kind of splash guard back here, but no fender. So that's what we want. We want that thing, God forbid you ever fall off the seat, but God forbid you ever fall, period, right? So, got to get the shocks adjusted. They're all the way down. It's got to go up yet to get the bike leveled out. A lot of work to do here, but I am inspired. Let's get this freaking thing done, man, once and for all. All right, guys, this is my crazy world. Welcome to it. Thanks for watching. Peace out.